Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you're just joining us, you're waking up to a sports world that has been fundamentally shaken. We often talk about upsets in tennis. We talk about rankings, we talk about seeds, and we talk about favorites. But what happened tonight at the Rizal Memorial Tennis Center in Manila was not just an upset, it was a seismic shift. It was a declaration of arrival. The headline is simple, but the implications are complex. Entire Colombia shocked. Alexandra Eala defeats the world number 33 Camila Osorio in the quarterfinals of the Philippine Open. For the past week, the narrative surrounding the inaugural WTA 125 Philippine Open has been one of cautious optimism. The local fans came to see their homegrown hero, Alex Eala, arguably the most important tennis prospect the Philippines has ever produced. They came to cheer, to hope, and to celebrate the return of professional women's tennis to Southeast Asia. But few, perhaps not even the most die-hard supporters, truly expected this. Tonight, in the quarterfinals, Eala found herself standing across the net from Camila Osorio. Let's contextualize who Osorio is. She is not just a participant. She is a titan of clay courts, a player who has reached a career-high ranking of world number 33. She is a former U.S. Open junior champion, a title she shares with Eala, but she is years ahead in tour-level experience. Osorio is known for her grit, her grinding baseline game, and her ability to dismantle opponents with sheer physical tenacity. She came into Manila not just as a contender, but as a predator looking to feast on the lower-rank field. The script was written for Osorio to overpower the teenager. The ranking gap was substantial. The experience gap was a chasm. And yet, over the course of 3 grueling sets, on the humid heavy air of a Manila evening, Alexandra Eala flipped the script. We are hearing reports from Bogota and Medellin that the Colombian sports media is in a state of disbelief. Osorio was a heavy favorite to lift this trophy. She was a barrier that was supposed to stop the fairy tale run. Instead, she became the victim of it. This wasn't a match won by luck or unforced errors. This was a tactical masterclass. We saw Eala, a left-hander, utilize the geometry of the court in ways that we haven't seen from her in previous seasons. We saw her forehand, often her weapon of choice, firing with velocity and precision that pinned Osorio, one of the best movers on tour, deep behind the baseline. But the real story here isn't just the tennis. It's the atmosphere. Reports from inside the stadium describe the noise as deafening. A sold-out crowd at the Rizal Memorial, a venue steeped in history, essentially willed their compatriot to victory. Every point won by Eala was met with a roar that could be heard blocks away. Every error by Osorio was met with suffocating pressure. This victory sends Eala into the semi-finals, but does more than that. It validates her transition to the senior tour. We have watched Eala grow from a junior phenomenon to a struggling pro, try and find her footing in the top 200 and then the top 150. Tonight, by taking out a player of Osorio's caliber, a legitimate top 50 talent, a former world number 33, Eala has proven that she doesn't just belong on the court with the world's best, she can beat them. So buckle up. We're going to break this down frame by frame. We're going to look at the psychology, the tactics, the serve percentages, and the crucial turning points in the second set that changed everything. We're going to discuss why Osorio crumbled and how Eala rose. This is the deep dive into the match that shocked a nation and thrilled another. This is a Philippine Open quarterfinal analysis. Let's get into it. Let's transition now into the deep dive. To understand the magnitude of this victory, we first have to dissect the combatants. This wasn't just player A versus player B. This was a collision of 2 very distinct tennis philosophies and career trajectories. First, let's look at Camila Osorio. When we saw the draw release of the Philippine Open, Osorio's name stood out immediately. The Colombian is a fighter in the truest sense of the word. Her game is built on a foundation of relentless defense and counterpunching. She thrives on making matches physical. She wants you to suffer for every point. Coming from the clay courts of South America, she brings that heavy topspin and that tireless work ethic to every surface she plays on. Even on the hard courts of Manila, which are playing relatively slow due to the humidity, Osorio was expected to have the edge. Why? Because slow hard courts favor the grinder. They favor the player who can retrieve one more ball. That is Osorio's identity. On the other side, we have Alexandra Eala. The narrative on Eala has always been about potential. We know she has the power. That lefty forehand is world-class. We know she has the pedigree as a Rafa Nadal Academy graduate. But the criticism, historically, has been about consistency and movement. Could she stay in a rally with a top-tier defender without spraying an error? Could she handle the variation? And the junk balls that experienced veterans throw at her tonight, those questions were answered. The match began exactly as the pundits predicted. The first set was a clinic in veteran savvy from Osorio. She came out of the gate targeting Eala's backhand wing, refusing to give the Filipino any pace to work with. Osorio knows that young power hitters like Eala thrive on rhythm. If you hit the ball hard at them, they hit it back harder. So what did Osorio do? She slowed it down. She used slices, high looping, moonballs, and drop shots to disrupt Eala's timing. For the first 30 minutes, it looked like Eala was drowning. The unforced error count on the Eala forehand side began to tick up. The crowd, initially raucous, went silent as Osorio broke serve early to go up 3-1 and then 4-2. The Osorio wall was in full effect. Every time Eala thought she had hit a winner, the ball came back. And not just back, it came back deep, forcing Eala to reset. Osorio took the first set 6-4, and at that moment, looking at the body language, you would have been forgiven for thinking the match was over. Osorio was fist-pumping, engaging with her box, looking energized. Eala looked frustrated, looking at her strings, questioning her shot selection. The difference into her level maturity was evident. Osorio knew how to close. Eala was still learning how to construct. But this is where the deep dive gets interesting. Between the first and second sets, something changed. We don't know exactly what was said or thought during that changeover, but Eala came out with a completely adjusted tactical plan. Instead of trying to blast through Osorio's defense, which wasn't working, Eala began to use the angles. This is the beauty of being a left-hander. Eala started utilizing the cross-court forehand with extreme angles, pulling Osorio off the court to the deuce side, Osorio's forehand side, opening up the entire court for the down-the-line winner. This adjustment was subtle, but it was devastating. Osorio wide, Eala forced Colombian to run more lateral miles. Osorio is fit, yes, but the humidity in Manila is a different beast. It's thick. It's heavy. It drains you. By the middle of the second set, we started to see Osorio's recovery steps slow down just a fraction of a second. The pivotal moment came at 3-3 in the second set. Eala was serving down 15-40. Two breakpoints that would have likely given Osorio the match. This is the moment where the shock began. Eala didn't play it safe. She risked a massive serve out wide, an ace. Then on the next point, a courageous drive volley winner. She held serve. That hold was the catalyst. The crowd sensed a shift. The energy in the Rizal Memorial Tennis Center transformed from nervous anxiety to deafening support. Eala broke Osorio in the very next game, finally cracking the defensive code. She took the second set 6-4. Now we enter the decider. The third set. This is where rankings usually matter. The top 50 player is supposed to regroup, use their experience, and suffocate the underdog. But Osorio didn't regroup. She unraveled. And why did she unravel? Because Eala didn't let up. The Filipino star started stepping into the court. We saw her taking the ball on the rise, robbing Osorio time. This is a tactic usually reserved for the very elite. Taking time away from a defender is the only way to beat them. Eala was playing first strike tennis. Serve +1. Return +1. There was a specific point at 2-2 in the third set that defines this match. A 24-shot rally. Osorio threw everything at Eala, slices, lobs, heavy topspin. Eala absorbed it all, stayed patient, and then, waiting for the perfect short ball, unleashed a forehand down the line that clipped the paint. Osorio didn't even move. She just stared at the mark. That was the psychological breaker. From that point on, Osorio's error count skyrocketed. The pressure of the moment, the noise of the crowd, and the relentless aggression from Eala broke the Colombians' will. When Eala served the match at 5-3, you could hear a pin drop before the serve. followed by an explosion of noise after every point. The final point, an Osorio returned sailing long, was almost anticlimactic in its execution, but monumental in its result. Let's look at the numbers because they tell a fascinating story. First, breakpoint conversion. In the first set, Eala was 0 for 3 on breakpoints. In the second and third sets combined, she was 4 for 5. That is clutch performance. That is the statistic of a winner. Second serve point 1. Osorio feasted on Eala's second serve in the first set, winning over 60% of those points. But in the third set, Eala started kicking her serve higher, using more body serves, jamming Osorio. Osorio's win percentage on Eala's second serve dropped to 30% in the decider. That adjustment saved Eala. And finally, net approaches. Eala came to the net 18 times in this match, winning 14 of those points. That shows confidence. It shows a willingness to finish the point on her own terms rather than waiting for an error against a wall like Osorio. You have to move forward. Eala did that. We have to address the World 33 tag mentioned in the headlines. While rankings fluctuate, Osorio has played at a top 35 level. She has beaten Grand Slam champions. For Eala to dismantle a player of this pedigree is a massive leap forward. It signals that Eala's ranking, currently hovering outside the elite tier, is a lagging indicator. Her level is already there. This loss for Osorio is a shock to Colombia because, quite frankly, they expected a deep run here to boost her ranking points. Losing in the quarterfinals of a 125 event to a wild card or lower-ranked home favorite is a significant blow to her seasonal campaign. It raises questions about her ability to close out matches in hostile environments. We cannot ignore the venue. The Philippine Open is the first of its kind in the country. To have the home favorite knock out the highest profile seed in the quarterfinals is the dream scenario for the tournament organizers. It guarantees ticket sales for the semi-finals. It guarantees media coverage. It puts Philippine tennis on the global map. But for Osorio and the Colombian team, this is a long flight home. They walked into an ambush. They underestimated the conditions. And perhaps, they underestimated the heart of Alexandra Eala. This match wasn't just about forehands and backhands. It was about belief. Eala believed she belonged. Osorio, perhaps, believed she was entitled to the win by virtue of her ranking. And in sports, entitlement is the enemy of execution. So where do we go from here? What does this result actually mean in the grand scheme of the WTA Tour? For Camila Osorio, this is a moment of reflection. She is a fantastic player, a warrior, and she will bounce back. But this match exposes a vulnerability in her game on faster hard courts against aggressive left-handers. She needs to find a way to be more proactive when her defense is being penetrated. She cannot simply rely on her opponent missing. Tonight, Eala didn't miss. Osorio will head to her next tournament needing to re-establish her dominance. But make no mistake, she remains a dangerous floater in any draw. For Alexandra Eala, the sky is the limit. This is the signature when she has been searching for. We have seen her win junior Grand Slams. We have seen her grind out wins on the ITF circuit. But beating a player of Osorio's stature on a main stage under extreme pressure? That is the stuff of champions. This win will skyrocket her confidence. It will also give her a significant boost in the rankings, moving her closer to that coveted top 100 debut, where she can gain direct entry into Grand Slams without going to qualifying. But more importantly, this win galvanizes a nation. The Philippines is a basketball-crazy nation. We know that. But tonight, they are a tennis nation. Alex Eala has shown that a Filipino can stand toe-to-toe with the world's best and not just survive, but thrive. As we look ahead to the semi-finals, the question is no longer, can Eala compete? The question is now, can Eala win it all? The field is on notice. The Philippine Open has its storyline, and it is written in the sweat and determination of a young woman who refused to bow down to the rankings. We will be covering the semi-finals right here on this channel. We will be tracking every serve, every volley, and every moment of this historic run. If you enjoyed this deep dive analysis, if you appreciate the breakdown of the tactics and history, please make sure you are subscribed. We are witnessing history in Manila, and you do not want to miss what happens next. Alexandra Eala has shocked Colombia. She has shocked the tennis world. But most importantly, she has proven to herself that she has arrived. Thank you for watching. This has been your deep dive into the Philippine Open quarterfinals. I'll see you in the next